Today we're going to be talking about Juliana and Romero. Hey, welcome, I'm LeilaFox. Today's lore story video is going to be for Juliana and Romero. They are two epic champions that are part of the Sacred Order faction. Now, they are older champions, and we're going to see that their lore story has kind of like a more older vibe and feel to it. But before we get into that, let's check out the Sacred Order faction as a whole. For centuries, the Knights of the Sacred Order were charged with cleansing Teleria of evil in all its guises. But since the declaration of war, they have sworn allegiance to the Queen of Arabia. In league with the Queen's necromancer, these once holy knights now enforce Her Majesty's will and guard her chattel. Let's get into the lore story for Juliana and Romero from the Telerian Lore Book of Champions. But of course, it is not just love that is marked by divine intervention or tragedy that is worthy of the minstrel's attention. Those are merely good for the dramatic flair that those Knights of the Lute do so enjoy. More often than not, love overcomes obstacles that are less grand on a cosmic scale, yet no less difficult for the mortals who find themselves entwined. The Sacred Order as a whole, while not necessarily enforcing a vow of chastity, does forbid its members from having families and heirs, a precaution that makes certain positions of power within the order pass on by right of virtue, not that of blood. Undue attachment is heavily frowned upon as well, outright forbidden in some of the stricter divisions of the order. It is no surprise, then, that the Knights Romero and Juliana had never thought of themselves falling in love. Romero, ever cool-headed and pious, found himself at odds with the young and brash Juliana, whose skill with the blade and fiery zeal led her to many mortal perils that she, to the young knight's credit, honorably overcame. But a life full of battles does tend to make emotions run wild. In time, the two warmed up to one another's quirks, learned to appreciate them even. Their eventual union, though it may never be formalized by marriage, remains true and tested. Neither did that union affect their relationship as comrades in arms. If anything, it allowed the two knights to fight as one. Where Romero's natural cautiousness may lead to him losing momentum, Juliana's brazen but no less skillful tactics ensure that their forces control the initiative. And where Juliana may begin losing herself in the heat of battle, Romero is always there to serve as an anchor of reason. To this day, they remain among the Order's prominent warriors and are ready to bring Lumea's light whatever it is needed most. Alright, so that was the lore story for Juliana and Romero, and as I had mentioned, it definitely has more of like an older school, older kind of vibe to it, because we're talking about knights, and we're talking about how, according to them, they're not allowed to have families, they're not allowed to have heirs, because the way that it works in their hierarchy is that it's meant to be done by virtue, not necessarily by blood. So then we have these two knights, Juliana and Romero, that are used to being comrades in arms, and eventually they end up pretty much falling in love. But because of the way that the Sacred Order is, they're never really meant to, like, they're never actually going to get married. So again, it feels like a very like old school kind of story. I think that there definitely are some other stories that are much better, much more fleshed out. This one kind of really wasn't. But in reality, these are also two epic champions in the game. Usually the legendary champions have much better, more fleshed out stories. I would love to know what you guys think. Leave me some comments down below for what you think for Juliana and Romero. Do you like the story for them? Would you have wished that there was a little bit more in depth? And like I said, considering that they're epics, I don't really think that they would have added more, considering that they're also OG champs as well too, but I would love to know what you think. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, check out some more videos up here in the playlist on the top right.